Do you talk about your finances with your partner or significant other? In this episode, we're going to talk about conversations couples should have about money. Hi, welcome back. There are some topics of conversation that are kind of taboo to talk about, right? Some people would feel way more comfortable having those discussions about politics, religion, maybe even their most intimate details of their sex lives, rather than have discussions about money or their finances. Isn't that crazy? People keep finances so private. We hardly ever have conversations about money with our significant other. Having those awkward and uncomfortable discussions can evoke all sorts of different types of feelings. So it all comes down to how money makes us feel. Now, we could have all sorts of different discussions over your relationship with money. But for the sake of this discussion, money can make us feel all sorts of different ways. It can make us feel anxious. We can feel guilty. We can feel shame. We can also feel embarrassed. So let's explain that a little bit. Let's say we're in a relationship with our spouse or significant other. We make less than them. We can sometimes feel shame or feel inadequate. If we make more, we can sometimes feel guilt, right? Or embarrassment. Sometimes we have incurred medical debt in the past, or we incurred school debt in the past, or maybe an auto loan. Our debt that we have can make us feel embarrassed or shameful for those decisions that we've made in the past. So having those discussions with our partner can invoke all sorts of different feelings, right? But there's also this ongoing debate. Do you join or combine your finances with your partner? I've been having these money discussions for a few years now, and that debate's probably divided 50-50. I think a lot of people determine that joining finances is the best way forward in approaching finance as a unified front. Other people do feel as though what's mine is mine, what's theirs is theirs. And so it's an interesting discussion over, do we combine our finances together as a team, or do we keep our finances separate? Then there's stories about money or finance after separation or divorce. Again, I go through this in a different post, but my story, again, is looking at personal finance after divorce. When it comes to separation or divorce, it can heat up all sorts of different emotions and feelings. And sometimes we're not all in the right mind, right? It can, you can have all these feelings over the debate on how things may be fair but not necessarily equal, and who's going to decide who gets what assets, right? Who is entitled or not entitled to some of those assets or some of the money when you separate. Is it you and your spouse? Is it your lawyers? Is it a judge? It invokes a lot of different feelings when it comes to separating money after divorce. Now, I had a fortunate opportunity to speak on a panel at FinCon 2021 last fall, and I was on this panel with a great group of people, and the title of this panel was called "The Dark Side of Couples Money." And we dove into questions on how to navigate some of those awkward money conversations with couples. And one thing that we came down to was really priorities, financial goals and priorities, and being clear, open, and honest about those goals and priorities, both together or individually. So let's actually dive into this, right? So as a couple, if one of your financial goals, and again, we can look at short-term, long-term goals. If we look at, as a couple, maybe saving money for a down payment for a home is one of the priorities, being clear and open with that priority, make sure we're budgeting to save for that particular goal together as a team. Okay, regardless if your money is combined or not, but if that's a a goal that you've both agreed on. Also, do you plan on having children, right? Together as a team, those are some of the goals we can look at. I mean, it can be as simple as going on vacation next year, right? We're going to go on that vacation to Hawaii, or we're going to go down to Costa Rica. Plan it, budget it together as a team, and you'll avoid a lot of conflict later on. But also looking at individual goals, but being open and honest about those goals can really help. For instance, let's say one of you is going back to school, or you're in school and you need to pay for classes, and so you maybe need to budget and pay for those classes. Maybe you did incur some student debt to pay for those classes. As long as you're open, honest, and communicate with your partner on that's a priority to you, is to get that degree, to finish that certification, right, for your employment or whatever that personal development goal is, that's fine, as long as you're communicating that and that's important to you as part of your goal. Another one is, let's say one of you is really into fitness. You do go to the gym every day. That's how you unwind. You want to maintain that level of fitness, right? You go to the gym, you pay that monthly gym fee. If that is important to you, again, budget for it and make sure that both of you are on the same page. You understand that that's important to you. I mean, heck, even if, for me, going to live concerts is a priority of mine, right? That's one of my goals. So budgeting to go on those particular, to go to those particular shows, that can be something that, as long as it's clear, open, and we budget towards it together as a team, you'll avoid those money conflicts later on. It all comes down to trust and being clear and open with your communication. I have a good friend that feels as though having their hair and nails done is really important. It's important for their career. It's important for their personal brand, and really looking their best in meetings when they're representing their clients in business, right? But I had learned that money that was used for that personal care, right? Facials, hair, nails, that type of thing, was kept secret. It was private from the spouse. And in my opinion, it really was something that would be better talked about openly, honestly, and set as a priority so the spouse understood the level of importance to that individual, and schedule payments, budget, understand that that's an important piece to that individual. So it's, again, aligning those financial priorities and goals, but most importantly, being clear and open with your communication. We've often talked about couples and our finances, right, in this discussion, but this also leads to another one that really has, can cause a lot of, what's the word? I feel resentment, right? And that is the money discussions that we can have around our parents and our in-laws. So we know that those can be really uncomfortable conversations. Well, aging parents often don't talk about money. They often don't talk about what their plans are. Do they have a plan? Right? And it really becomes stressful for those individuals my age, maybe a little older than me, that are in that sandwich generation. And that's that generation where you're caring for your own children, you're caring for your aging parents, but also you're also struggling to try to maintain and plan your own retirement as well. And this can cause a lot of stress. I was fortunate to attend the Afford Anything 10-year planning workshop in New York, hosted by Paula Pant. And one thing that we had a discussion about while I was there was an individual that was feeling that pressure, had an aging parent that was very poor with money early on, didn't necessarily plan for retirement, didn't plan for their later years in life, didn't have any retirement, didn't have any savings, was forced to move in with this adult child. And so now this adult child is really feeling that pressure and resentment towards their own parent. And so having those discussions early with your parents is critical, right? It's an uncomfortable discussion. Nobody wants to talk about when I'm old and, in my last season of life. Nobody wants to talk about when I'm going to die, but we all do. We all do. Having those discussions early on about what the plan is, and if they don't have a plan, start having those discussions with them on how to really build a plan. Because their plan really shouldn't be moving in with their adult child and having their adult child take care of them forever. Now, again, some of that's generational, some of it's cultural, right? There can be a lot of discussions around this, but that was an interesting discussion that we had. And I really feel as though that if we are open, honest, and set our financial goals and priorities with our partner and our significant other around money, finances, also around parents and in-laws, we'll be a lot better off and avoid money conflicts later on. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you watching. I want to hear from you. What are some thoughts that you have about conversations that you have with your significant other around money? Are you open? Are you honest? Do you have those secret accounts that nobody knows about? I want to hear from you. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Heavy Metal Money.